welcome once again to our fourth session in our 6 weeks webinar. Yes, four. So today we have a bunch of very lively as well as crazy trainers that you will be mesmerized as you watch this session today. Now, so today's topic is on developing strategic relationships. Right. One of the common questions is, how do I start? Who do I connect with? Why should I connect with people? And why are people not responding when I'm trying to do so? So today's conversation is, how do we develop that relationship so that we're able to advance our career as an independent trainer. My name is Isaac Peter. I'm the CEO and founder of People Performance. We are a learning specialist in the area of culture, leadership, and team. Now, these mentoring sessions are meant for new facilitators and trainers. With our purpose, it is to groom the next generation of trainers. Now, I've been doing mentoring training since 2010, mentoring and developing trainers since 2010, and it's very close, something that's very close to me. And the trainers that we have here today are also equally passionate about developing other trainers, and so we're going to talk to them today. All right. So before I introduce to you my panelists, one of the things that you notice today, I have ears, right? And if you see this going up, it's not about that I'm excited. It's just that I'm trying to get attention. All right. So that's what's going to happen today. Now, this topic is an interesting topic, and our panelists are going to share perhaps from very different angles on what it means to them, as well as how can we leverage, right? One of the common questions I always get is, if you are going to deliberately build relationship with someone, is that manipulating? So I'm going to leave that question on hold right now, and we're going to explore it throughout this session. So as usual, there will be 4 questions that we will be discussing over. I'm a bit off this morning. Before I get into the question, let me first introduce my panelists. I would like you guys to put your hands together, or even say hi in the Facebook to Suhu. Hi, Suhu. All right. Suhu, just share a little bit about yourself to our audience today.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Suhu. I have been a speaker and trainer for quite a number of years, and my biggest passion is to connect trainers, coaches, and speakers around the world so that we can learn and grow together. Over the years, I've been grooming and growing many mentees and many trainers in the areas of people development, as well as in the areas of mindset and their training business.
Thank you very much, Suhu, and we will hear a lot more. Suhu's story is huge and long, right? And along the way, he will share more. Let me go to my next guest, Ilyas. Selamat Raya, Ilyas.
Hi. Selamat Raya. Hi.
Tell me about yourself and that thing behind you.
All right. So my name is Ilyas Yusha. I'm known in two different industries. The first one with the paddle behind me. I'm a second generation river guide. So I operate a whitewater rafting company. And I've been in the training industry for about 17 years now. I do a lot of work in the area of entrepreneurship and personal growth. So that's it about me.
Cool. And as you get to know Ilyas, he will really challenge you in the thought process and all of that. So thank you, Ilyas. And finally, our guru, Mr. Sunil. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Peter. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sunil. I'm currently the president of the Malaysian Association of Professional Trainers and Coaches. My passion, very similar to Suhu, and that's why we work very closely together, is to empower and enrich as many trainers, coaches, facilitators as possible, so that we could all work together and grow together while enabling the human capital development wherever we are going. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you very much, Sunil. And as you get to know Sunil, you'll realize Sunil does a lot of work outside Malaysia, not just in Malaysia. So he's someone that you would like to connect with, since we are talking about strategic relationship, to understand what else is going on, right? Now, today our panelists, we are going to be talking over 4 questions. Let me just give you the question in advance, so it kind of prepare you, right? The first question is, how important is building relationship towards the success of an independent trainer or facilitator? That's our first question. The second question is, why are there some trainers who don't feel the need or even resist the idea of building relationships? And this helps us to understand the psyche of some of the psychology, some of the thought process that may not be helpful to us, but we may unconsciously absorb it over time, right? Third one is, should relationship building be planned, or should we just allow it happen naturally, right? And the fourth and final question, which is what I call the what do I need to do after this question, which is, what does a new trainer or facilitator need to start doing in order to develop their strategic network? All right, so we're going to open up this question, and the way this facilitation is going to happen is it's going to be an open session. They will share, my panelists are going to share their points, and it's interesting because we do come from very different backgrounds, and you know, if you do hear some differences, what it basically says is there is no such thing as a one way to achieve it. There are many angles, and we come from very different perspectives. What's important is to hear our story as well as to understand the thought process. So feel free to ask questions in the Facebook or anything like that. May I request that you ask questions related to this particular topic? We have some of the other topics which we have done previously. You may check that out if you need to. All right. So, gentlemen, are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So, the first question, in a way, is obvious. I thought it's important for us to talk about it. How important is building relationship towards the success of a trainer or facilitator? Who likes to start first? Or the guy with the parang?
Yeah.
Right.
You guys, the parang is handy.
Yes, yes,
Well, so to answer why, it's very simple. At least to me, in my opinion, to succeed in anything, we need other people.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a pure self-made man. You are never self-made. You are. There's always people around you, and and you need people to succeed. So I subscribe to that belief. It's a belief. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it has served me well over the years, and that's what I think.
Yes, if I may just push that a bit. So there are many things that's important. Do you see building relationship as the most important, or it's important but not so important? How would you position it?
For people like me, I'm very relational. I like relationships, so it's one of the top priorities for me. I operate well with people, so obviously that's my advantage, and I'll hack on it a lot. So.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. And for you,
I'm sure there's a lot of other things. I'm sure the gentleman below, the rest can share about that as well.
Cool. Thank you very much. Suhu, Sunil, who would like to go first? Raise your hand so I know who can go.
Yes, why don't you go?
Okay. So for me, it's very simple. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, if we all have we have always been taught in today's time and era, it is not about how much you know, it is who you know. While I don't quite like that, but unfortunately, that's the truth of reality today.
Okay.
Right? So the more and more people that you connect with, the more and more people can see who you are, what do you do, and you be yourself, people will appreciate you. And it is that appreciation that could trigger opportunities, right? So I do now have come to terms with the statement very often told to us, right? It is your network, which is your net worth. And generally the MLM guys will always be saying this. I used to hate it, like really, really hate it. But I think to a certain extent, they have a point, right? So that's one. Number two would be to also recognize that we all are human beings, whether it's an organization or anywhere, right? Organization is just the building, right? But there is, the people who makes the building, right? The human is the one. So at the end of the day, if you can connect with human beings and connect to people at the heart level, that is where people will want to connect with you and work with you and collaborate with you. So at the end of the day, it's not about the organization, the branding and all that stuff. While all that could be important, to me, the core essence is your being and is the relationships, which are pure and authentic that you build with people that will get you to where you want to go to.
Wow, okay, that's deep. Hey, Sunil, thank you very much. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I'm just going to get Suhu to share a bit. Suhu, Your
So
take on
Elias
this?
has his parang up. Is it? Does he? Does
Yeah.
he
Yes,
have
Elias.
The reason I want to jump in right now because I want Suhu, the master trainer, to wrap it up. Because I'm sure he'll wrap it up. Actually, you see what I'm doing there? See what I'm doing there already? Yeah. But Suhu, I'll let you wrap up. But before that, I'd just like to add to Neil. There's a lot of truth in what you said. I just want to add that it's true that it's about who you know, but it's more about also who knows you.
Yes.
I think in our profession, it's about who knows you. And I remembered one more thing, Sunil, because when you speak, Sunil, it kind of triggered a lot of things in my head. I'm quite a slow starter in that sense, guys. Sorry, lah. But we are not created alone. You know, if we don't need each other, right, we will be created just one person on earth, lah. But because there's so many of us, so I think we are created to connect. There's no way in this world we cannot not connect. That's what I think. Okay, Suhu, all yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so two parts I wanted to share about that. One is to add on to what Elias says. Human beings essentially are animals, and unlike tigers and who are lone animals, human beings are pack animals. So we live in organizations, we live in groups. Without the group environment, human beings actually will die. Because think about it, yeah. A human baby, right up until the age of 6 months old, has absolutely zero defense mechanism. Right? We rely entirely on an adult human to protect and care for us. We can't find food. Okay, we can't run away from predators. In fact, we are like the ultimate food for predators, full of good fat, zero defense mechanism, right? No poison, no spine, no shell. Okay. So because of that, human beings have an inherent need to connect. Right? It's a deep desire. However, there are also different types of connection and different types of networking. A lot of people will not agree when I say this, okay, and will not believe it. But I'm an introvert, right? To a point that I really don't connect with people as much as I will want to sometimes. But I feel that if it needs to be said, it needs to be said. But if it doesn't need to be said, then I would rather not connect and be with people most of the time. And I think Sunil is one of the first people who will attest to that. So I don't connect well with people in general. But interestingly enough, I feel a compelling need to connect people. So I love connecting people with each other. But me more of like an outsider connecting others together. So I think it works well for what I've been building all this while. Is networking important? The answer is definitely yes. Is relationship important? The answer is yes. At the same time, we have to understand the nature of the relationship. For trainers, for example, and for those of you who want to be trainers or are in the training industry, as much as we need to connect with each other as trainers or connect with our potential clients, we really need to understand the ecosystem of the training world, where training providers have their critical role to play, clients have their critical roles to play, stakeholders, participants, each and every one of us are a critical component of the entire ecosystem, okay? And everybody is required to play our own role so that the whole ecosystem will work together. I recently watched a video, I think about a few years back, that says recent, a video on the wolves of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Right? Where the wolves were reintroduced into Yellowstone National Park and the ecosystem flourished. So every single component of the ecosystem is required and not one part can be removed. So I think that's what I have to share on the first question.
Oh, thank you very much for that. I thought the first question itself is very powerful. It just goes beyond. Yeah, it's important to connect. There are very deep fundamentals behind it, right? So I like what Sue shared in terms of it is an ecosystem. It's about all the three of you shared that it is relationship. And you're right. Human beings, we are built for relationship, which is why solitary confinement is the worst torture in any prison, and anyone will tell you that. Right? So that's one. So humans are built for relationships. Second, that you guys shared and I thought was good, it's not about your personality. So Suhu, thank you for sharing that. Some people will say it's just not me because I don't like to talk. But what you're saying is there are certain realities that needs to happen because of the ecosystem that we have, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like the way you shared that, it's not about who knows, it's not about who you know, but it's also important about who knows you. It doesn't matter whether you know a lot of things or you know people. People need to know you, right? You can say, I know Bill Gates, but question, does Bill Gates know you? That makes a lot of difference, right? And Sunil, I think I like what your statement you made, and I love the way you shared, because that was also my experience coming from corporate into the training industry. At the end of the day, if you look at all successful CEOs, they are CEOs because of their network, right? We may dispute in terms intelligence or not, but what we can all agree is CEOs bring their network into the organization. So not really your network is your network in a work context. I'm not talking an individual context, in a work context. I've also, just to add on to this, I remembered watching a YouTube video by Simon Sinek on the styrofoam cup. Yes, Sunil, you want to say something?
You just mentioned something which was interesting. At a personal level also, right? My spiritual teacher has said this, and I really connect with that statement very well. Tell me your 5 friends, I'll tell you who you will become. So if you are often surrounded with a group of people who are forever negative, forever complaining, forever, having issues in life, you will also be one of them. But if you always connect with people who are inspirational, you connect with people who holds each other's hand and says, don't worry, it's a challenging time for 90 days, but we will get out of this together as a community, as a team, as a family, then you will be actually slowly moving out into the... So I think even at a personal level, right, knowing who you are connected with, it's very important. And actually, some people have realized this. Yeah, I slowly cut off my communication with people who, whenever they call and talk is forever negativity. I tend to silence the phone whenever they call me. Trust me, because I find that I do not need any more negativity. The amount of stress that all of us are going through as a community, right? And Suhu myself now trying to see how we can, push the community forward. It's already very stressful. Now imagine every day getting about 15 to 20 calls, right, of other people pouring extra poison into the already stressful environment. So I tend to spend more time with people who are positive or with people who believe in co-creation of possibilities. Meaning, hey, I know we are in challenging environment. What can we do? Hey, bro, what do you think we can do? Isaac, let's work on this. Ilyas, can we do this? Suhu, can we initiate this? So, the people that you connect with, right, could determine who you become. And I totally feel that is also true in our personal life. I give you a very simple example, right? Recently, I did my blood tests, and some of the readings were not exactly that fantastic, right? So I was actually having coffee last week. Finally, I had my first cup of latte in La Bodega last week, right? With a good friend of mine, multi-millionaire. And all he did is tell me, what are you doing this Sunday? I said, bro, I am actually doing nothing in the morning. I'm free. Why? You are seeing me in Putrajaya. We are going for an 18 kilometers walk.
Wow.
He could not be bothered about anything else except my health. And that is the kind of true friendships and genuine people you need around you. People that uplifts you, people who support you, people who believe in you, and people who believes that we should co-create possibilities in moving forward together as a team, as a community, as as an industry. So just wanted to add that part of it, bro.
Great. Sunil, thank you very much. I mean, exactly, this whole session is about sharing our experiences, right? And I think for me, what I'm doing is, in terms of this particular sharing, is to bring it into a context of independent trainers. What you are sharing goes beyond that. It goes at a very personal level. And I really appreciate you taking that effort just to share that. Because relationship is important. I think where I would like to bring this conversation is, okay, if we were to just kind of sit down and ponder upon it, how far can we go? And you have shared that with us. So thank you very much for that. And really, it comes to the point, and I thought what you brought up was interesting. When we think about building relationship with others, one of the things that we may not think immediately is that they can be our support system, right? And that's very, very important. So you do have to, sometimes I do that in terms of looking at my friends and say, who are the ones that are more dependable and who are the more, make me feel good, but there are also friends who challenges me to go a bit deeper. And I kind of look at that and see my range of friends. So that's how I tend to go about it. So thank you very much for that first point. In terms of how important, I think we all agree it is extremely important, right? And I think the points have all been said. Now let's move to the next question, which is somewhat related, but it's also important. The question is why then, if we see this as quite commonsensical that relationship is very important, why are there people and are there trainers? I mean, we have met trainers who have been in corporate industries for 20 years coming into the training industry. We have met people who just started working coming industries, and some of these people are following top training gurus and all, but they say I don't need, actually no need, actually really it's about why they are focusing more in terms of their skills and knowledge, and they are saying that relationship building is either what you call fluffy, right? Either fluffy or not the real thing. So why is this so? Why are people not into building relationship?
Okay, this one I'll start.
And Nehru asked this question, so I thought this will answer his question. He said people are naturally introverted. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So for first I'll answer Nehru's question. How do introverts network? First, as an introvert, networking drains the person out. Like as it literally, it takes the energy out of the person. So rest well, eat well, sleep well before you go networking.
Go do your 18-kilometer walk, right?
Yeah, do 18-kilometer walk. Yeah.
Alone.
So for me, right, generally I don't schedule anything for about 1 to 2 hours after any networking event. I also tend to not schedule anything for 1 to 2 hours before a networking event, because overall it just tires me out. Okay. So that's one. Two, we have to acknowledge and understand that it's necessity. Just like some people have die must call you one. They cannot WhatsApp you, they cannot message you, they must talk to you one. Even though I tell them, look, my hearing, my audio is almost zero. Whatever you say to me over the phone, as soon as I hang up the phone, nothing goes into my head, okay? And I'll ask them for a WhatsApp message just to remind me of what I spoke about. They still have to call one, because people have all the different preferences. And some people really just need to connect, at a different level. So we have to understand that that's their preferences in connection. And if you want to connect with them, if you want to build relationship with them, friendship with them, that's what we do, right? So that's the first part for the introvert. The second part, to answer Isaac's question, is why do people resist? There are two reasons I find from my interaction with all the trainers why people resist. The first reason I find that a lot of people resist is because of programming. Programming meaning they have been programmed by their so-called mentor or master trainer that they don't need to look outside.
Right.
This is the safe environment for you. This is the language we speak. These are the mindset that we have together, and only our group of people are close with each other. Okay. Outside of that environment, it is very negative. It's full of people who take advantage of you and so forth and so on. And therefore, this group of people tend to not network outside of that group. That's probably the first reason I can think of. The second reason I can think of is because of bad experiences. People who network or they go and connect with people, and either they have been hunting or they have been hunted, and they find that all networking environment is a hunter environment, and so they don't go out and network with people. So my advice for people who do any kind of networking, priority number one, and always to remember, is this: in any conversation, how can you add value to the person you're speaking to immediately, that they can take home and they can use something, so that people remember you for giving value to them, even if it's just a 5-10 minute conversation. Yeah. So that's my sharing.
Thanks a lot, Sue. And I thought that's an important point. Yes.
Parang is up.
Parang man.
Okay, Parang is out because Parang man not too smart, so better get out his point first before we take it.
Ilyas, you're just being too humble, okay?
Guys, I just only have one answer to this, and I think Suhu has mentioned it. I think a lot of people think that networking is about taking. But think networking is about selling something. You want to sell something? No. Networking is about giving.
Wow.
People resist networking is because they think networking is about taking something from someone. No, no. Actually, networking is about giving. So whenever, I don't know, at least for me,
Contrast that.
come again?
Can you give an example to contrast that?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I personally don't go to networking events because everybody is hunting in networking events. So there's no point in going to a networking event.
So that's the problem there.
Makes sense, right? Makes sense, right? Everybody's hunting in networking events. So
Yeah,
who's buying, right? So I don't go for networking events, but whenever I do network, and I pre-MCO, I do this on a daily basis, yeah, guys. So I go out, I meet people, and I try to figure out what can I give to that person, either something of value from myself or the networks that I already have. What does he need? That's the only thing I ask for. And then when, say, like, you know, like sometimes when you put together projects, right, people want to remunerate you, right?
Yep.
So I don't take it usually. I sometimes I don't take it. The reason being, it's better not to take it because then they will refer you always. So
What's wrong with that?
nah, the thing about taking remuneration, it's not wrong taking remuneration. It's just that when you take remuneration, it's like it's done. It's a done deal.
Yes.
There's value transact already.
Yes.
But if you don't take it, right, and you just say, you know what, I can do work too. I do trainings. If you have anybody who who wants to do trainings, just send them my way. So they keep sending it your way until they feel that the value is kind of like summer already,
Yeah.
So it's all about giving. I think people resist networking is about because they think that it's programming right? What Sue said You think it's about taking. No. Networking is all about giving. It's all about figuring out.
So who has something to say?
So I wanted to agree with Ilyas on that. It's like a lot of people have asked me, why don't I take any kind of remuneration when people refer, or why don't I set a commission structure? I mean, if people still want to give me, of course, I won't say no, right? Especially now in MCO. But the objective is not for the remuneration.
Right.
The objective is that if you can, for me, if I can empower and enhance a person's business so much so that they overflow, all right? And when they overflow, it's going to flow somewhere. So it will very often flow to other people in the community, and that will keep flowing around, and eventually it will come back. I found out 3 years back that one person who helped me to become a trainer, who continues to support me until today, in terms of office space, in terms of content, in terms of everything, right? Nelly Amirah Lim. She was the person who brought me into training. For many years, she has been helping me and supporting me. What I didn't know, and she also didn't know, was our families have known each other since we were much younger.
Wow.
My father, who sells pau in a pushcart, used to sell pau where her father runs a business, and they will help each other out, but we didn't know that. And my uncle and her brother are classmates. We did not know that our families knew each other until 3 years ago, when my family was having dinner and her family was having dinner next table to each other. And we go, hey, then that's when we found out that they knew each other. So things like that, it shows and it demonstrates that the world truly is a giving space in a huge cycle. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think the lesson I learned is never try to bluff people. You will eventually come back.
And that's what they say is the law of karma, bro.
Okay, Sunil, your take on this, on why some people resist it.
I think first things first, yeah. I want to exactly support what Ilyas and Suhu just echoed just now, that networking is not about going and taking. People think networking is about going to a place, you meet anybody and you take what you want. That's the wrong concept of networking. Networking is where you get to meet people, you get to connect with people, and then you see where the synergies could be. Then you see where the possibilities can be created. But it's not about going there with the intentions of being like this, waya, baham. you know. So when you have that kind of a mindset, you will never gain. Number one. Number two, it was a very painful experience of having 4 nights of no sleep and doing this mega project, risk and governance work for Petronas, right? For the big project in Johor. I think Isaac is aware of this,
Yep.
right? I sit on the risk and governance advisory of the biggest ever project in history of Malaysia called the Pengerang Integrated Complex. And as the youngest was given that opportunity to sit on that level, right, with all the VPs. So 4 nights I did not sleep because I was so busy preparing the framework and finalizing my presentation to the 3 VPs and all that. And that was my greatest opportunity to shine in the history, you see. So I said I'll do all of 4 nights of no sleep. The week after, I was supposed to be flying to Japan for a workshop. Then I come back and I'm supposed to then fly out to Indonesia to speak at an event with multiple ministries involved and all that stuff. So I was so excited about my holiday. For me, my passion is traveling and speaking engagements, something I've been doing for the past 18, 19 years of my life, since I was first invited by United Nations at the age of 17. Now, it's at that point I realized, right, that I was not having enough sleep after speaking at one Rotary Club. I was driving home and I met with a massive accident. An accident where nobody in history would ever think that a person can be alive because the whole car was totally damaged. So from being that young person who is always looking at money, wealth, properties and savings and bonuses in Petronas, right? It hit me so hard where I was literally quiet and numb, right? For one whole month, thinking about what is the purpose of my life. That incident helped me reflect a lot. And I'm so blessed to have gone through that accident where 2 things happened. Number one, I did not even have a single scratch on my body, nor a drop of blood came out. So that's the first blessing, which means this is my second life. Number two, an awareness came to me, and I would love to share this with everybody here. You came to this world naked, and the day you die, my dear friends, can you see this ring over here? This ring here is 30 ringgit. So if you attend my funeral, okay, and the ring is still on my finger, you will actually go tap the shoulders of my wife if I ever get married, or my parents, or my sister, and you're going to be telling them, hey, hello, the ring is still there, please take it out. So I will not take anything with me except the impact and the support that I've created and the legacy that I've left behind. So don't run into a networking event with the dollar sign in your mind, dollar, money. Look at them as human beings. Look at the way you could possibly add value to people, right? And that's why I really love the way Ilyas mentioned it, right? It's about givers gain. The concept of givers gain is so powerful because it can be life-changing. Keep giving and giving and giving and giving, and do not even wait for somebody to give you back, because God knows how to give you back. The universe knows how to give you back. When the time you need something, it will come. And it has come to my, sort of path in my life over the last 4 years of being full-time in training so many times. I've had to say no to training because I had agreed to doing some community work. I've got a keynote address which is going to pay me $2,500 for 1 hour. And that's the same night I had agreed to do a motivational session for my youth leaders in Malaysia. And I've actually chosen to do the second one and said no to the money. It's not about the money all the time. It's about creating impact. So networking is not bad. What is the intentions behind the networking is the key. So go into a networking event with all open, pure intentions of creating value and adding value to other people. You will be surprised how it can help you fly. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much. And I kind of just want to wrap up this second question, right? And the whole idea is the barriers. Now, Sunil, you have shared something beyond that, which is in terms of the intention. And I think the challenge has always been not to judge people's intention. I think that has always been a challenge. One of the things I noticed humans is the tendency of unconsciously judging people, which perhaps leads to why people resist networking, because they presume everybody at the networking is trying to eat them, right?
Yes.
So I think this is a personal, and it's interesting when we talk about the mindset going to a network. And I think for many trainers, even including me, it gets very tiring when you are trying to build relationship and a person is trying to sell you something, trying to get something. the other mindset that I presume may happen that resists people from networking is they fear if they give, they lose out. How would you address that?
I just shared my story.
Okay, so I'm supposed to bring this up. All right.
Yeah.
So if I could just add to that, right?
Mm.
The more you give, the more you will be blessed with in terms of your knowledge, right? So you'll suddenly get an inspiration, suddenly you will get an idea, you know, which will be always more and more and more. And this is what I learned from my Muslim friends and teacher in school when I was even a primary school student. Simply because I was this character, like when people try to ask me question, cannot. Why? Because I generally used to have better answers than some other classmates of mine. My dad is a teacher, so I can't help it.
The kind of fellas I'll throw rubber at.
Right? And then this Malay teacher came up to me and then brought me into the teacher's room, and she had like a 1 hour counseling conversation with me at the standard, and I was in standard 5, I think. So
Wow.
Kita kena bantu orang. Lebih kita bantu orang, lagi pandai Sunil akan jadi. So it was, so you said that at a young age, I was already been tuning into that kind of experience by a teacher. And to me, teachers are greatest people that we can learn from, right? And shape our lives. And true enough, this was one example where eventually I said like, this is my answer lah. This is my answer lah. I started going and telling everybody my answers. And I felt good saying that. So I continued doing more and more of it. Even now, right? There are so many trainer friends, right? Who would call, right? Hey, Sunil, what do you think we should do? You know, and Suhu does this too, I know, right? Because I've had a lot of conversations. Hey, bro, consider doing this. Hey, look into this area, look into that angle, look at that possibility. You just keep giving. It will come to you.
Okay.
Right? So that's my point on, this whole idea of connecting with people.
Great. Parangman?
Yeah, just to add on that, we've never lost anything by giving. Everything that we've gotten so far is because there's an exchange of value anyways, right?
All right.
So we've never lost anything by giving. We've always gained something by giving.
Thank you for that.
I just wanted one last
Yes,
last year to jump in here. A lot of people say give and you will get. And I'm often reminded it's not give and you will get, but the fact that you can give, it means you already got it first.
Yes.
Wow, hold on. I think we just need to absorb that, man. Right. And I think, guys, thank you very much for this particular sharing. It's important because it is about addressing a mindset, a certain belief system, right? And for us here who have been doing networking and you guys are sharing from your own experience, I think it is helpful for people who are a bit nervous, may have certain preconceived ideas. I think it's a good time to reflect and to challenge the assumptions that we have. That's one. Secondly, just because people do that to us doesn't mean we have to do the same. We can hold ourselves to a higher standard and focus on giving. Now, obviously, the challenge, and some people would like to ask, if you say I give and I get back, question is how long will I get back? The obvious thing is humans are based on relationship. The stronger the trust, the stronger the relationship, things happen. If the relationship is shallow, then you just get on the surface. So I think it is about being human. Not everything is about work. It is about being human. And this kind of brings us to the third question, which is, should we be deliberate? I use the word strategic. So the word strategic tends to mean I deliberately think about it. I plan. I wonder who should I connect. Should we do that or shouldn't we do that? Who would like to go first?
I'll go last this time.
Sunil, very quickly, should a person be deliberate in how they network, or should they just go out of the house and then just go to anything, or do they plan where should they be going? Based on your experience and all.
Yeah. So yes and no. I would not go to a networking event where 99% of the people there are insurance agents, MLM guys who are waiting to come and inspire me to join that, because that's not the area of, where I want to go to, right? But if I have to pay 2,000 Sing dollars and go to a HR conference in Singapore, I would do that, and I've done that, right? Because that's where I get a chance to meet people. I learn so much from people. But the one point I want to highlight, yeah, I know some trainers are not very, and oh no, probably I'll reword that, yeah. Some trainers find that, hey, Sunil seems to be hanging out with a few HR people. Why does he not give me the business? Guys, I have not got business either, right? Because I do not believe on using friendships, right? I became a friend when I meet them at a conference. That friendship has now nurtured into once in a blue moon going for dinner or going for coffee, right? Once in a while, if they have got some situations, their challenges, they call, right? And that's how, I built that rapport. But till today, I have not gone back to, hey, can you please give me training business? This is my company profile. These are my 25,000 trainings I can do, I'm a jack of all trades master. No, right? I just continue building the friendship. But you'll be surprised if they can sense that you are authentic. You don't have the intentions of, sort of going onto them and wanting to, get business out of them. That genuine friendship could at some point change into an opportunity, right? So that is why it's important. Do you know when I hosted the coffee with HR leaders session, I had 3 or 4 of the speakers who privately called me and told me, Sunil, can you please make sure that, that the chat box is blocked off where nobody can contact and irritate us or bug us. What does that tell you? They have had so many people, right, within the ecosystem who is going to them and always wanting to sell and sell and sell, right? So I had lunch with one of the HR directors yesterday in her home, right? And she's telling me, Sunil, I've got something like about 80 people who wants to connect with me. And you just see, and she shows me her phone. Look at that. All different consulting organizations, all different individuals who wants to sell me products. Now, what is the intentions of connecting with people? It's where I come from. So go back to intentions, that's all. Okay. And it isn't meant to be people judging, yeah? It's about you knowing your intentions. The purity of your intentions will speak for itself.
Sunil, if I can just take you on that point, right? You mentioned you paid 2,500 Sing dollar just to go to Singapore to attend. Now, what made you be willing to do that? If you can share a bit your thought process.
Yeah, sure. I believe 2 things. Yeah. Number 1, we need to continuously invest in our own learning, right? And when I say the word learning, it's not only about learning from the talks, but learning from the coffee conversation. So imagine you going and now grabbing your sandwich with your coffee and you go and like, hi, my name is Sunil. I'm from Malaysia. Pleasure to meet you. That story that the person will now have a conversation with you is where the nuggets of wisdom is. That's where the true diamonds are. So, I mean, those of you who are on my social media see that I travel so much. And I travel for various reasons, from speaking engagements to attending events to attending committee meetings and all that, right, abroad, right? It's because I get so much of joy when I learn all these things. And that's what makes it useful for me when I'm doing the training and I'm able to add value to my clients.
Okay, cool. Right? Thank you very much, Sunil. Yeah. Who's next?
Okay, so since Ilya says he'll be last and he's got Para and all behind him, I shall go next.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, I have this is actually my personal struggle.
Sure.
Your question 3 is a big personal struggle for me. And let me share with you why. Number 1, like I mentioned earlier, I love to connect people. So every time I'm in a networking event, I am thinking, okay, whose business can I connect with who so that they can build business together. All right. So that's how my brain operates. The second problem I have with this is, if I'm your friend, I don't want to do business with you. I don't want to do business with you.
Okay, so you're not my friend now.
I have zero clients for my family.
Okay.
You know, I have zero clients for my family. And the networking events, I make friends with like the HR directors and all that. I don't want to sell them anything. Not only do I not want to sell them anything, even when they ask me to sell them something, I don't do it. Right? And it's just my personal belief. It's like, as soon as I do business with that person, there is always that shadow of a business relationship there.
Right.
So I've been invited by many HR directors to submit my company profile, and I just tell them flat out, you know, you can go and talk to any of my training providers. They will be happy to send me to your training managers, but I flat out rather not. In fact, most of my peers, from my working days, they are country managers, country heads for different various banks. Weirdly enough, banks are, although I do have a lot of banking clients, I have never once did any job for any of my clients, any of my colleagues and peers, right? Or rather, if we have a teh tarik, we have a teh tarik lah. If we have a networking event. But in the networking event, remember, like I said, my job is to connect you with each other. So that's my personal struggle. As to whether you can be strategic and how much time you should spend building. I think that's the second part of the question. How much time you should spend building relationship. I will feel in terms of a training business, since your target audience here is mostly trainers or want to be trainers. I will say when I first started out my training career, 80% of my time was on building the contacts, right? And building the ecosystem, understanding the ecosystem. 20% of my time was building my content, because by the time you are a trainer, you should have your content with you already, lah. And also I was very lucky because I had a mini workshop series, and mini workshop series already settled all my content for me, so it was easier for me when I started out. Yeah, so that's my take on this.
So thank you very much, and I'm very happy that you actually shared your personal, because we need to remember we are humans first before our job, right? I think we need to remember that. And once again, thanks also for sharing that, because once again, we all come from very different backgrounds, right? So for some people, they are natural born planners. For some people, they are just very organic, goes with time. So I thought this gives a very good perspective of how the different one of us take to it. And I like the fact that you shared about your 80-20, because I find that a lot of trainers tend to have this assumption that their training module is gold, right? So they end up spending a lot of time on the modules and not enough time connecting at the beginning of their career, right? So thank you very much for that. Elias, you have been holding on. Go ahead.
Okay. So to answer your question, I believe that you go both ways. I go both ways. I don't plan, and I do have strategic planning where I deliberately, engineer myself somewhere.
Okay.
The reason being is that when I started out, come again?
That's how we end up meeting.
Yeah. So so if you notice, my whitewater rafting business is also a way of me connecting with a lot of people. Yeah, so it's also my mechanism in connecting. I just like to connect. So most of my businesses are very people oriented. That's one. Number two, early on in my career, so I was really young back then. So, and I had to build my connections, right? And it's very tough to meet people who are, I'm because I was still a student back then when I started off. So it's very hard for me to meet people who are senior in stature, right?
Okay.
So how I did it, guys, is I deliberately plan what I can do to meet people of certain stages. So I leverage with what I have. Yeah. Number one, I play football, and I'm quite good at it. So what I did was I did not play for a. I used to train with a professional team, but then I stopped because I didn't see any point in it, and they pay so low back then. Yeah. So I was training with KL back then. Yeah. But during my student days, but I kind of like thought, it's not bringing me anywhere that I wanted, and I already falling in love with trainings. So what I did was I played in a social league.
Right.
I picked a social team. So why do I do that? Is because people in their 30s, right, play in social league, and they have a social team. You know what I'm saying? So for me to meet up with 30-year-olds is easier when I play football. So because I'm in my early 20s, right? So they always call me, and I always play for them. So that's how I get to meet a lot of people who are in senior exec positions
Right. Okay. Cool.
back then. So that's how I deliberately structure my networking stuff. So I played for a few social league teams, right? Because I was young, so I can really run. So people don't want to run. So I mean, older people don't want to run, right? So I run for them. So that's how, number one. Number two, I create projects that is, or I join projects that is community in nature, community work. Community work. So that I do a lot of consistent community work. So in community work, right? So what I love about community work is that we don't there's no titles now in community. You don't bring your CEOness inside a community. In social work, right? We have to prove ourselves. Who wants to take up more responsibility have the opportunity. So because I was a student, I had more time, right? So I took on more lah. That's how I know a lot more people. So that's how I did it lah.
Thank you. Sunil wanted to add something to Ilyas.
No, I wanted to just respond to the question. That Nehru has shared that MapTech is doing a great job. And we need to add more. So you are right. I mean, I definitely would agree with the idea of us having more networking sessions and conversations. We hope that will go on right after this MCO is over, and we'll be able to meet up, in smaller groups at the start. And you are right. I mean, actually, sometimes you do not even need MapTech as an organization to do it. If any one of you trainers who find that you want to do something and you're willing to host it, i.e. it could be even a simple Zoom call like what Isaac is doing today, right? Then just get in touch with me or Suhu or any of the EXCO members, right? We'll be happy to create that platform, because at the end of the day, it's all about the association is the vehicle. You cannot always want the leaders of the association to be driving in. You can jump in, volunteer your services and say, hey, you know what, I want to do this. Let's do it, guys. You will have our fullest support, like I've done for many other associations and many other members who wanted to organize initiatives, do stuff and then leverage on the association. By all means, we have all the resources, grab the opportunity.
In fact, to add on to that is to say that MapTech as an organization is built to be succeeded by the members. One of the first thing I insisted on from the very first meeting was that the president cannot hold the position for more than one term. And one term being 2 years, that's it, okay? And you move on and you transit. And the reason for that is because it's not about the leaders, it's not about the people, the individuals. It is about the community of trainers. And MapTech, it's one of the main proponent and champions of that, to do that. Yeah, so Nehru, please go ahead and speak to us for whatever you want to organize. We'll be happy to share it out. The only reason why I don't organize a lot is simply because it takes a lot of work for one person to be doing it. On top of that, it's like I'm an introvert, if you remember that part. So I don't go bowling.
Leveraging on your strength.
I don't watch movies. I watch movies on my phone, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, just kind of wrap up that part, right? Now, once again, for those in Malaysia, part of building strategic relationship is being involved, right? So if you hear Sunil and Su talk about MapTech and is a association for trainers, go in with the idea of let me help organize stuff before I get connected and before building trust. So think of it that way, right? And also, I think I like what Ilya shared about just joining society. Maybe one of the challenges is because trainers only think of trainers network as a networking event without thinking of, I can go into any other networks, right? It doesn't have to be training related. Yeah. In fact, if I go to a non-training related event, my value is higher because I'm probably the only trainer there. If I keep going to, so for example, all trainers are going to HR events. How many hundred trainers are there? Why don't you go to a network where it's a finance event or a network which is a science event, right? So different networks. So I think one of the things we want to think of in a more deliberate way, go to a place where a trainer wouldn't naturally be. That could be a strategy by itself, right? So yeah. So trainers, if you're out there, start thinking. I would say there's more than enough trainers at HR events. Please start looking for other events. I'm not sure if you guys agree on this part. Look out for other non-HR events. I think you would be surprised. Your value goes higher, right? So thank you very much for that. And kind of just want to bring to the last question. And this question is about what we call the how-to or some of the nuggets, right? 2 or 3 pointers. So keep it into a point form. 2 or 3 pointers for trainers on what they can immediately start doing to get the networking to go. Who would like to start first? 2 or 3 points only.
Okay, I will go. Since the two other Thai calls are silent, okay? So that I can
Thai
get
course.
on with
It's more like Thai course, okay? So I know for me, I'm like thinking 2 or 3 points. It's structure, man. Okay, let me.
That's me,
Wait,
man.
no.
So number one, the first is a A, which is called authentic. Be yourself. Don't try to go and try to fluff up and look all great and all that. Just be yourself, right? So authenticity is number one. Number two, it's A again. It's called appreciate, right? So appreciate people and add value to other people's life. Number three is acknowledge. Acknowledge other people for what they are doing and acknowledge people and let them realize that they too are an important component, right, of the ecosystem in the country that we are in. So the 3A for networking, that comes from me will be authentic, acknowledge, and appreciate.
Thank you very much.
Oh, gee, got structure, Sudhir.
I know.
Hey.
He's well prepared for all this.
So he's what we call the A++ trainer. Okay?
Yeah. I'm learning right now.
So for me, the three steps let's just say 3 things. Number 1 is integrity. Like Sunil says, you have to be true and authentic to yourself. If you're not a dato, don't claim to be a dato. If you're not a doctor, don't be a doctor. So be who you are, and people will appreciate you more for who you are than for others, right? Secondly, it's be interested in the other person, like genuinely interested in the other person, not interested in how the other person can help you, but genuinely think of what that person need that can help them, right? So that's the second one. Maybe that's why I'm so drained out after networking events. The third thing is this. People connect with people who are real, who are human, So like Sunil says about them puffing up and all that, people are not going to connect with you at that level because they see your facade, they don't see you. So that genuineness needs to be there, the interest needs to be there, and connecting people needs to be there. That's what I feel.
Thank you very much, Suhu. I just want to bring your point because earlier on, Seha asked about being an introvert. And just to repeat, Seha, you can either watch the video later or Suhu basically shared before he goes for a networking, he takes 2 hours silent time. And after networking, 2 hours silent time for himself. So that is his strategy on how to be sustainable in networking. All right. So that's just for Seha because she asked the question just now. Ilyas, your take.
First, I think I'm just gonna recap pretty much what I've been sharing lah. Number 1, networking is about giving. So that's one. If you think that way, because it's a lot easier to help people, right? Okay. So networking is just about that. It's just about giving and helping people get what they want in life. That's one. Number 2, if you have no avenue to network, create projects. When you create projects, there's 2 things will come out of this. One, you can realize your potential or discover new potential. 2, you will connect with people anyways. Right? So if you don't have a vehicle, create one. You don't need to build an association. You can just create a community project. That's it. I just have 2, not 3.
Very practical advice. And I thought what's interesting as the three of you share what to do, and this whole idea about, giving value. And there is a difference between what is of value and what you think is of value. So part of networking is learning to listen to what people have to say. Be slow to try to just say everything that you know, and to actually ask people what are they really challenged. I find a question that's very helpful when I network is, what are some challenges or what are some things that you're currently working and need support? I find that to be a very good question to start seeing where I can provide value to people. I also like what Suhu mentioned that, don't have to open up so big. If certain thing you do not say, don't know. Perhaps one of the mindset challenge that a lot of new trainers have is, I need to show that I know it, then people will engage me, right? But what you guys are sharing is, the words that I like to use, vulnerability. The ability to say, hey, I'm just starting off and I feel this is what I should be doing. Do you think I'm on the right path? I think just having that kind of authentic conversation helps a lot. Right?
Just to add on a little bit to that is, I tend to, instead of asking, what are the few challenges you're facing right now, I tend to ask, what are you working on right now? What are you doing right now? How are things right now? Because sometimes I find that in networking event, because everybody who has been hunting, they also ask what are the challenges right now. Oh, that challenge, I got a solution for you, right? So I tend to ask, what are you working on right now, and how's that working out? How are things? What recent accomplishments have you been doing? Be genuinely interested to probe and find, what are the things you've been doing, and just now you mentioned that you're working on that project. There's someone who might need what you have. Can I just quickly connect you to that person?
Yep.
And then just do that.
Thank you so much on that. Sunil, last one.
Just to add a little bit to what Suhu said, right? Avoid going on the conversation of, what do you call a problem talk,
right?
During a networking session, because why? It becomes very draining, and that person will take that opportunity to uncover their entire life history and bucket of problems to you. Right? So you always ask a positive question, right? And in my programs, I always talk about solution-focused questions. So the kind of question you ask will trigger a different kind of conversation. So like what Suhu said, focus on positive questions, focus on questions which helps them appreciate their strengths rather than looking at their weaknesses or the challenges that they're going through. Then they will feel good. So that feel-good factor will help you connect better.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I think that is amazing. We have come to the end of our session. Parangman, do you want to say any last words? I saw you.
Yes, I can just share with you 3 questions you can ask so that it's easier to know people. First, ask who they are. Number 2, what is their, echoing Suhu, ask what's their latest project that they're working on that excites them. Number 3, and this is what I will always ask, if you are financially free and have a little bit more, what will you be doing? So
nice.
For me to get to know them in 15 minutes, so that's how I ask.
Cool. I thought that's a good start. Thank you very much for that, gentlemen. And I thought today was a very interesting session because we are actually sharing what actually is happening and what could be done rather than what we perceive in networking. And we come to the conclusion that networking is critical, right? And it is really because it's a human to human first before work. I think that's something that makes successful networkers successful. The fact that they connect at a personal level first before going into any work conversation, right? Gentlemen, thank you very much for sharing. Now, as we come to an end, just a few admin stuff. Now, there is a survey link in your Facebook. Can you please help us fill out the survey so that we know how you enjoyed the sessions, as well as are there any other questions, any other topics that will be of interest to you? So that's something that you can help us and help me generate more content. The second part is we are starting a mentoring program, and this is going into the more nuts and bolts because over 1 hour, we can only share on the top of it. But so what I've been doing last year and this year I'm doing is we are coming up with a 3-month mentoring program. So we are going to launch it in August. So those who are interested, please just connect with Shazwan, as well as the Facebook has information on that. And finally, what else? Next week's session will be on how to make your training program engaging. So that will be about engagement strategies in a workshop context. And that will be good for us who wants to know how do you make people talk more in the session rather than you talk all the time, right? So that will be next week's session. Next week will be on Tuesday, back to our normal day, because today is the Haraya thingy. Next week, Tuesday, join us at 10 o'clock and we will see you there. With that, thank you very much, everybody, and have a good day ahead.